Share via email. Report story. By Hatoki72. Summary. What will you do if you were asked to measure your best friend's body? This is from a Japanese short fan fiction from 4chan translated into English. Dot. Bunkusai Cultural Festival is fast approaching and the students of Class 1A were busy preparing and working for their upcoming band performance. Students spent their time discussing about their program and their task assignments. Mina and Hagakuri were assigned for sending invitations to their family, friends, teachers and other students from different departments. Katsuki, Momo, Kaminari, Tokiyami joined Jiro forming a band team. Hiroshima, Ojiro, Midoriya, Aoyama and Todoroki were assigned for staging team. Tenya and Yaoyorozu were assigned for costumes, props and instruments used for the band. Uraraka and Tsuyu were assigned for materials used for costumes. Shoji, Sato, Mineta and Kota were assigned for the decorations. And lastly, Sato will be responsible for preparing lunch, snacks and dinner for them. Everyone else will dance during the performance except the band team. And for the outfits, Uraraka, Momo and Tsuyu will volunteer to sew manually based from Ashido's design while Momo had already made her design for our batch t-shirts. Tenya said while holding the list of students assigned for their task. Yaoyorozu and I were assigned for body measurements. Our dorm has 2 vacant rooms in 4th floor. So, I want you to go and take the measurement before 3 p.m. The students were all nodded and went to their groups for their task. Uraraka and Tsuyu went to Momo and Mina to discuss the color and the texture of the fabric used for the dancers. Uraraka knew about where to buy cheap fabrics, threads and other materials while Tsuyu has skills in designing and sewing. Before Momo left the building, she started to take measurements of female classmates and joined Uraraka and Tsuyu for shopping. Uraraka, I haven't measured you yet, Momo said. Uraraka smiled and said, it's okay. There's still enough time after shopping. The girls used Momo's money to buy 2 large rolls of orange and white fabrics, red neckties, and purple body stockings for the girls. Tsuyu bought lots of threads, pins and accessories. The truth is, she doesn't want her classmates to see her body shape. Before she entered UA, girls from her former school shammed her appearance. One of girls told her that she has large thighs while the other said her face is like a moon. Her thighs and legs were noticeable so she decided to wear dark body stockings to hide the color and shape of her legs. She knew she wasn't perfect so she's decided to take last line for measurement. Nothing to worry. Later, Tenya also take measurements of male classmates except Midoriya who was secretly trained by All Might and visited Mei Hatsume at the development studio for upgrading his new gloves. When Uraraka, Momo and Tsuyu came back, Tenya told Momo that there will be a student council meeting at 2 p.m. to discuss about the incoming event of their school. Momo asked Uraraka to check all the list if the students were already done with their measurements. When Uraraka got the list, she checked and read the student surname Midoriya who hasn't done his measurement yet. So me and Deku-kun haven't taken our measurements, Uraraka thought walking towards the vacant room. Tsuyu is at home now to get her portable sewing machine. I can't measure Deku-kun by myself. I'm going to wait for him and ask him if he's already done his measurement. It's already 4 o'clock. Midoriya hurriedly dashed towards the elevator. He was so late for his measurement and hoped Tenya won't scold him. He was scrambling around to find Tenya but he learned from Kirishima that he and Momo attended their student council meeting. He called his mentor, All Might, asking him to do his body measurement, but sadly, he was out of the faculty office. He asked recovery girl for his measurement, but when he arrived at the infirmary, it was already closed. Promoted stories. You'll also like. Convicted Hearts 3430 like my other story but ILI longer. Ohm Fluke a day 112K 8.2 kiloamperes. Collection of short Ohm Fluke over 365 days. Please check the second book for the rest of the day's update. Return of Mokuden discontinued 3.5K 45. This story is officially up for adoption. If anyone is interested, message me or comment on the story. Zero Deku Onishots 31.3K 791 because of circumstances, this book won't be continued unfortunately. Feel free to check out my other stuff. Thank you for understanding. Izuku's Harem Academia 184K 1.7 Qst. Read. Free. Onishots 149K 3K. This is a collections of free X readers. Requests on this are now closed. Finished. 8.3K 508 tilde. He save all of them, just a smile plastered on his face before disappearing through the wind. By the end of the day, Midoriya was walking down the hall toward his dorm, so lost in his thoughts that he never noticed there was someone walking right towards him. That person must not have been paying attention either, because she's seriously checking the list. They both yelped as they bumped with each other. Oh, Uraraka-san. Sorry, I guess I wasn't paying attention. He apologized while helping her picking up the sheets and pencil case. It's okay, Deku-kun. I should be the one to apologize. She startled as she fix and arrange the sheets. Midoriya noticed that Uraraka has the list of students' body measurements for the dance costume. What brings you here, Uraraka-san? Well, our classmates have already done their body measurements. Did he took your measurement? Uraraka asked. Midoriya scratched his freckled cheek and shook his head. No. Not yet. Actually, I'm looking for him, but Kirishima told me that he and Momo were attended for the student council meeting. It seems that you and I haven't done yet. She fiddled with the hem of her skirt, trying to will her embarrassment. Since Momo and Iida-kun passed their task to me, I was thinking. God, this is way harder than she thought it would be. Midoriya gulped deeply and asked, thinking what? He thought he'd never see the day his best friend was so nervous. She took a deep breath and said, I was thinking, we could take each other's measurements. She suggested. Midoriya instantly turned red as a tomato. So Uraraka-san hasn't done her measurement yet? He asked while astounded by the words of his best friend. Uraraka shook her head. Hi, same as you are, Deku-kun. Are you sure, Uraraka-san? Some of those are pretty, kind of private. He asked, covering his flustered face with his arms. He's acting shy and silly, just like the time when Uraraka complimented him during the sports festival. She couldn't blame him. That question alone solidified her resolve. Deku-kun, I'm pretty sure that we can do this. We don't have a choice, but we should do it. And besides, doing something like this might get you to be more comfortable around me regularly. She smiled nervously, brushing her side hair. Midoriya thought for a moment as he put his arms down. Tenya is kind of busy and he didn't know what time will he come back after the meeting. He also knew that Uraraka was also assigned for designing and sewing dance costumes. If she was sure about this, then maybe it wouldn't be so bad after all. She's his best friend. If you want, we should find someone who will. Okay, let's do this, Uraraka-san. He exclaimed while he opened his door and guided her to go inside his room. Ochako was dumbfounded upon hearing his reply. Okay, we can do this, she thought as she walked in his room and Midoriya followed. As Uraraka went inside, she felt butterflies float inside her stomach and a little pressure in her spine. She thought if it was good or bad thing to stay alone with a guy inside his room. It was strictly prohibited to girls to stay longer inside the boy's room. She turned around and asked, "Ah, Deku-kun, can you keep this as a secret? Promise me not to tell anyone." Midoriya's eyes widened as he locked the door and said, "It's a promise." Midoriya was so nervous to have a girl inside of his room. Not just his best friend but his crush. His admiration has turned into a crush after she saved him from the fall during their entrance exams. It was awkward feeling of letting a girl staring his All Might posters and merchandises. "Sorry for the mess," he said while Uraraka setting down her sheets, tape measurements and pencil case on his desk. "That's okay. I don't mind," she replied with a nervous smile. She turned around along the sheet and she was acted visibly nervous in front of him. So, let's see. The instruction says here that we should start at the upper body part, B but. She said nervously as she pulled the measuring tape. It also says we have to strip off our clothes to get accurate measurements. Now Midoriya's face was just as red as hers. Seeing his reaction, she understood that there's no way would dare to strip off their clothes in front of an opposite sex. Don't think we should. If it'll make you feel better, I could go first, he offered with slightly blush. She sighed deeply and gave him a relieved smile. Thanks, Deku-kun. That would help a lot. Since their comfort rooms were outside their dorm rooms, Uraraka turned around and closed her eyes while Midoriya started to strip. She could hear his clothes shuffling around. She felt a tension when she heard the sound of an unzipped zipper and a belt. Wah! This is so embarrassing. Uraraka's mind screamed when she heard another shuffling sound of his clothes. You can turn around now, Uraraka-san, he said. Uraraka turned around and saw him clad only his green boxers. She was mesmerized by Midoriya's body build. He got large strong muscles around his scapular area. His calves were huge. His six-pack's abs are totally bedazzled. It's like she's staring at a superhero without a hero costume. She had to say, she liked the view. She couldn't believe what a great job those school uniforms did to hide how built some of the students were, especially him. She'd even seen Kirishima's shirtless thanks to their hero suit, but Midoriya put him to shame. I can't believe to say this. Hagakuri is surely right about Deku-kun. For a 16 years old having a cute and adorable face with mesmerizing muscular body. Uraraka-san, you're staring, he said nervously and his face turned to a side to hide his blush. This snapped her out of it. She blinked her eyes and startled. Oh, oh. Sorry. I didn't mean to. She felt her face heat up again at that moment. Let's get started I guess, she startled. Midoriya set his uniform down next to his backpack and stood in the middle of the room. Uraraka looked at the instructions again to see what exactly she was supposed to be measuring. I'll start with the arms first, Deku-kun, Uraraka said as she grabbed the measuring tape and with shaking hands wrapped it around his upper arm and Midoriya helped her straighten by abducting his muscular arms. He has a large ugly scar at his right arm all the way to his hands and Uraraka won't mind seeing these scars of him. She remembered how she bandaged both arms and torso during forest training camp and learned that he fought Muscular, a psychopath member of Vanguard Action Squad, risking his life to save a boy named Kota. He used 100% OFA to 10,000% Delaware Deltoid Smash to defeat Muscular. He told her that some of his muscle fibers were badly damaged and his bones might not able to heal if he used his right arm and hand again for the battle. He had experiences a lot of trial and error, ending with many broken bones from entrance exams to first-term final exams. He always used his already broken bones to launch more attacks. What inspires her most is that he never gives up. He used other way to fight by using his legs for kicks and using his fingers to create full cowl, shoot style. You got large scars, Deku-kun, Uraraka said, placing a measuring tape on shoulder to the wrist as she examines his scars. Midoriya couldn't meet her eyes as he felt shy and embarrassed of showing his scars. Yeah, I covered it up with my arm band to hide my ugly scars. He stammered while scratching his cheek. Uraraka's mouth fell open as she remembers how she also covered her dark stockings in her thighs and legs. She pulls his scarred hand gently and wraps with measuring tape to measure his wrist circumference. I don't mind to see these scars, Deku-kun. Seeing your scars makes me wanna do my best as a hero. Your scars are the mark of who you are, Deku-kun. How you save people and show how incredible things you do. You're really amazing, Deku-kun. Uraraka smiled while holding his scarred hand gently. Midoriya felt the wetness of his eyes and his lip quivered, trying not to cry in front of her. He smiled as he remembers how she praised and complimented him several times when no one acknowledged his work. That's right. Evan thought he has lots of disgusting scars all over his body. Uraraka always there for him. Going back to her measurement, Midoriya's face became redder as he noticed her face felt closer to his cheek. She's too close. Midoriya's mind screamed as she continues wrapping the tape carefully at his bicep. She could smell his manly perspiration and feel the hard muscles from his biceps. Midoriya became conscious and felt embarrassed when he smelled his own body odor. Uraraka noticed his frantic behavior and smiled. Don't worry, I won't bite. The measurements of his arm length, wrist and bicep circumference, and neck size were all done. She also measured from neck down to the level of his chest. Now, she needs to measure his upper torso. She gestured for him to lift his arms up and Midoriya followed. When she wrapped her arms around him, both of them flustered. It's like I'm hugging Deku-kun, Uraraka thought as she decides to wrap the tape around his chest, not to linger too long, and brought the end of the measuring tape together at the center of his chest. She could feel and hear Midoriya's heart pounding faster. His eyes were closed to relax a bit to lessen his nervousness. She smiled and asked Midoriya to hold still the tape as she jotted down the sizes. When she was finished with his upper torso, she went to his right lateral side to measure his waist and thighs. Midoriya continued to shut his eyes and tried not to panic as she got on her knees. Uraraka-san is measuring my hips. OMG. Get those dirty thoughts out of your head, Izuku, he thought to himself. He tried to think of a positive way, like, all Might smile, All Might laugh, All Might new edition manga, All Might's hero costume, and so on. While imagining all the things about All Might, he felt the tape wrap around the back of his thigh, and tried not to faint from the close proximity. Uraraka didn't stay longer than she had. It was way too embarrassing for her to handle. She decided to start with his hips and then proceed to the length of his legs. Uraraka shut her perverted eyes as she stares directly at his lower bottom. Midoriya helped her to hold the measuring tape for her so that she could able to get the right size. She noticed that he has muscles over his legs with tiny visible scar on his ankle. Probably the result of his daily workout routine, or maybe his intense training with All Might. With Midoriya's help, the last measurement was taken quickly but with minimal embarrassment. Uraraka has done it maybe in 10 to 15 minutes, but to them it felt like hours of torture. While Uraraka's jot down all the measurements, Midoriya quickly put on his t-shirt and black jersey shorts. He felt vulnerable standing before her like that. Being exposed to quite possibly to his best friend without knowing she hasn't had a clue that he has feelings for her. He decided that after this was over it would be best to just forget the whole thing. Just like what Uraraka said, it should remain as a secret. I guess it's mine turn now, please turn around. Deku-kun, Uraraka said nervously while trying to remove her tie. Midoriya nodded and turned around facing the door. He could hear how she's shrugging her clothes. Like Uraraka, he felt stressed when he heard unzipped zipper in her side skirt and removed accessories placed on his desk. You can turn around now, she said. Midoriya turned around and his mandible practically dropped to the floor. Uraraka's body was totally hot. She wore her cute, baby pink bikini underwear to reveal her curves. She's got beautiful pinkish, white skin and her curves was just right to her age and height. She removed her dark body stockings to reveal her long and slender legs. She covered her chest with her arms when he realized he'd been staring at her too long. He didn't want her to think he was some kind of pervert like Mineta, but she did notice and she liked it. Can we start now? Deku-kun, she said in a low voice while fixing her hair in a ponytail style, revealing her pinkish white nape. Midoriya looked at her like she was the most beautiful thing in the world and then finally snapped when he realized Uraraka was waiting for his response. Her heart beats 100 times faster than normal whenever he keeps on staring at her. For her it's totally embarrassing to be exposed in front of her crush, but he made it easier. She was sure now when this whole ordeal was over with, she'd tell him. Oh yeah. Okay. UHHMMMM, he replied sweating and confusing at the same time. Now both of them were embarrassed and scared. She couldn't help but giggle. He grabbed the measuring tape and slowly made his way to her, walking nervously like a rusty robot. Too close, he thought to himself as he walked one step backward away from her. Oh okay. Here goes, but Uraraka-san, don't scream okay. He agitated while gripping his measuring tape and instruction guide sheet. Seriously, it was his first time to see her wearing only her underwear and to do some silly things. I won't. I promise. Uraraka smiled. He begins to mutter seriously when he read instructions written on the sheet. Uraraka smiled when she listens his silly muttering and mumbling sounds. He placed the instruction sheet on his desk, took a deep breath and remained himself to stay calm. Then, he started with her arms, like she had with him and then towards her head. He could smell the aroma of strawberry hair shampoo as he wrapped it around her flawless neck. He could smell the feminine odor from head down to her spine. Wah, Uraraka-san smells so good. I mean, get those dirty thoughts out of your head, Izuku. Midoriya thought as he shook his head and he could feel the smooth of her back. He felt his hands shaking and perspiring when he measured again her neck. He thinks her neckline is too sexy and her pinky lips are like pink jellies that he wanted to taste it. It was his fourth time to measure her neck circumference. He then moved down to her waist and hips. Her abs is not much unlike other muscular women. Hers is small, flat and curvy. He looked every detail of her body. Her petite scars, moles, pinky finger pads and small bruises on her left knee. He makes sure that he remembered these things for his data analysis notebook. When Midoriya stared seriously at her abs, nape and arms as he seemingly looking for something and Uraraka could feel her face started to heat up. She didn't know if Midoriya was confused or followed the instructions or not. Uraraka-san, how can I measure for your chest size? Midoriya asked innocently when his eyes shut, trying not to stare at her chest. It wasn't going to get any easier from here. I got it. Why don't you stand behind my back and help me hold the tape? She said. Midoriya followed and went at her back while placing a tape around her chest while Uraraka helped him by placing it in a nipple line. She then lifted both arms and Midoriya took a result at her front. He nervously turned around slowly, dare not to touch her breasts, and looked at the correct size. Actually he done it 3 times as he stared at her pinkish white breasts. You have to put 1 inch allowance, especially my chest size, Uraraka reminded while Midoriya jotted down the result. So her chest size is 36. B. Or C. Probably B, he mumbled to himself. Uraraka smiled at him. Sometimes he was just too sweet and gentle like a child for his own good. He was busy getting her accurate measurements and avoiding eye contact to answer. For her waist and hips, his fingers shook as he held the 2 ends of tape together. He carefully not to touch Uraraka's sensitive areas, especially her groin or the V-shaped area. He didn't want to stay there longer than he had to. He proceeds quickly to her legs and oh my, her slender, smooth legs. No, he didn't want to stay longer or she'll be mad if he acted like a pervert just like Mineta. Don't stare too much on my thighs and legs. They're chubby and ugly, Uraraka said sadly. Uraraka-san, you don't have to be conscious because whatever shapes you have, you're still gorgeous. Upon hearing his word, gorgeous, Uraraka's face turned red as he took the time jotting down the size to give himself a breather. She smelled fantastic, but there was only so much a man could take. If he didn't finish this quickly, he might lose his self-control. He had and just blurt out his feelings while she was still in her underwear. Come on, Izuku. You can do this. Just a little and everything will be all over. Your onsen is waiting for you. Only 2 more left and it's over. He came back and kneeled down to measure her legs. Uraraka also helped him hold the tape while measuring the length and the circumference of her legs. He tried not to breathe or else he might pass out from the intimacy. He stood up slowly, not wanting to show how nervous he was, and turned away so she could get dressed. He turned around and jotted down the measurements. It's okay. You can look now, she told him. Midoriya turned back at her. She was dressed in school uniform, not wearing her necktie. Here, Uraraka-san, it's done, Midoriya said as he handed over the sheets to Uraraka. Uraraka read her sizes and smiled. We've finally made it, Deku-kun. Now I can show this to Momo and Suyu-chan. Don't tell Suyu about this, okay? Midoriya said while staring Uraraka's happy face. He didn't know why he felt sad. Is it because he's going to miss it? Well, I'll see you later at the dinner then. Just as she turned to grab her things, she felt his hand on her arm. She slowly turned back to him. He looked even more nervous than she felt. His hand slowly slid down to reach her hand and was looking anywhere but her. Deku-kun, can I ask you something? Uraraka's face began to fluster and she tried to swallow the lump of her throat. She needs to hurry and get out before Aizawa-sensei might catch her up inside Deku's room. She looked down avoiding his eyes and said, what is it? C can you, will you be the one make my costume? He said while his hands are shaking and sweating. Uraraka looked up, blinked and smiled. Hi. Midoriya smiled and released her hand. Uraraka wondered if it was right thing to say about her feelings. Right now, it was her turn to ask. Deku-kun, can I ask you something? Midoriya smiled and said, sure, what is it, Uraraka-san? She sighed deeply as she took a moment to collect herself. Whatever happens between them, they're still friends, right? Do you like me? He tried to play it off. Of course, Uraraka-san. You're my best friend. Not like that. I mean, more than a best friend, she said in her low voice, and Midoriya started to blush. She looked serious as she continued with a sad expression on her face. They said that guys like me because of my body. I don't think they like me. My body isn't perfect. He looked at her eyes and smiled. They say you're not perfect. That's not true, he exclaimed. Why, your niece? You're friendly. You're strong. You're beautiful. I liked you not because of your body but because of your kind and beautiful soul. In my eyes, you're already the most beautiful girl I've ever met. He added. Uraraka smiled, almost tear up, and said, Thank you. I try my best to work hard for our costumes, especially yours, Deku-kun. Before she could finish and before he can stop himself, Midoriya walks closer and embraces Uraraka with a slight kiss on her head. His warm breath lightly caressing to her face as he hugs her so tightly, trying his best to comfort her as much as he can. He really liked her. Thank you, Uraraka-san. A beat of silence fills the room as Midoriya releases her from a hug and Uraraka's face turns into a shock. Finally, Uraraka snaps and stares directly at Midoriya's eyes. Why, you're welcome. Uraraka walks out the room and pats her rosy pink cheek. She remembers what Midoriya told her. You're gorgeous. Aside her parents, Midoriya also complimented her nicely. It's like a heaven with angels gathering around and calling her name. After dinner, Uraraka, Momo and Tsuyu were gathered at the common area to discuss about the design. Ashido wanted to have design with cute short skirts for girls and pants for boys. By the way, Uraraka, have you checked who didn't take their measurements? Momo asked her inquisitively as she handed over the design made by Ashido. Uraraka smiled and said, I checked it and they have already done their measurements. Ochako-chan, who helped you measure for your costume? Tsuyu asked as she remembered that Momo forgot to take her measurements. Oh. Well, I called my aunt to help me take my measurements. She lied as she tried her best not to expose about her and Midoriya. Okay, fair enough, Tsuyu said, and then she discussed about the color of fabrics used, stitches, design, and handling the sewing machine. I asked my mom to help me make lots of printed t-shirts, skirts and pants so to make it faster. What about you, Tsuyu and Uraraka? I'll help Tsuyu-chan sew dance costumes, Uraraka said. After Momo left the common area to join Jiro for the band, Uraraka asked Tsuyu if she will be the one to make costume for Midoriya. I promised him that I'll be the one will sew his dance costume, Tsuyu-chan. Please. Sure, Tsuyu replied, not knowing why she was so eager to make his costume. Days passed and cultural festival started. Tension in the backstage was so high when Midoriya didn't show in the changing room. Where is he? Uraraka worried when Midoriya still hasn't shown up at the backstage. Madame Moselle, don't worry. I'll go and wait for him at the front gate of UA. I'll try my best to deliver his costume, Aoyama said as Uraraka tried to peek at the curtain to see the number of audience. Uraraka nodded and gave him his costume. Aoyama winked at Uraraka and dashed out the gymnasium. Deku-kun haven't tried his costume. I hope it fits him well. Uraraka prayed and wished Midoriya came on time before the show starts. After 20 minutes, he and Aoyama came in. Uraraka smiled to see him wearing his dance costume made by her. His costume is neat and well stitched. His costume fits so well, except his necktie, that Midoriya glanced back at her and smiled. Well, at least Midoriya's costume fits so well while others are not. Shoji complains his sleeves were so tight as he decided to tear it off. Blame Tenya for writing inaccurate measurements, Mina said as she watching the boys position themselves in the stage. Uraraka, Can you fix his Midoriya necktie? Uraraka smiled at Mina as the curtains started to lift up. He accepts me what I am. Same goes to him too. Where stories live. Discover now.